I mean, I'm just looking at it for something to happen.
One wrong step.
Go into the earth.
Right. What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we are back with another American reaction.
Yes.
Super excited about this video, guys. If you're new to us
And
and
we're
we're
new to you,
make sure you scroll down, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell because we're on the road to 100K. And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Going to Bolivia a couple of years ago, so in this episode, you're going to see some of the great footage that I took with my crappy 2010 Panasonic camcorder.
Not the Panasonic.
It's time to learn geography now! Oh, we are so gonna live it up in Bolivia. Ha!
Nah.
Flag time.
This guy here, boy.
Alright, another flag that has a lot of things to look at. Let's see if we can do this faster than Belize's flag, shall we? First of all, the flag is a horizontal tricolor flag with 3 bands, red, yellow, and green, with the coat of arms in the center. The red represents, once again, say it with me, the blood shed for those who fought for the country. The yellow represents the wealth of resources, and the green represents the richness of natural areas and hope. The coat of arms is a little more complex. First of all, in the center is a cartouche image of Mount Potosi with the sun rising over it, with a llama, a palm tree, and a bale of wheat representing the nation's resources, surrounded by a blue border with 10 stars representing the 9 departments and the 10th former province, Litoral, which was taken by Chile in the 1800s. Finally, you have the name of Bolivia above. Then you have 6 Bolivian flags on either side, once again making Bolivia one of the few countries that has a flag with miniature versions of its own flag on its own flag. Then you have the 4 muskets in the back with 2 cannons in front representing the struggle and fight for independence. On top of the cannons you have a Phrygian hood and an axe representing liberty and freedom. On top of everything you have a condor and laurel branches that stand for peace and the willingness to defend. Keep in mind you also might see this flag a lot in Bolivia, also known as the Huipala, which is also kind of seen as a national symbol but could also be referenced towards the indigenous people of Bolivia, and more specifically the Aymara people, which make up a huge population demographic of the country. Did we do it? Did we beat Belize? Alright, Bolivia, you are in the lead as the most complex flag that we have done here on Geography Now. Congrats. Bolivia is a very interestingly situated country, and to kind of understand it, you have to travel back in time. But later, not now. First off, today Bolivia is landlocked, located in South America, bordered by 5 other countries: Peru, Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Chile. The country has very meticulously surveyed borders with every single one of its neighbor countries, and that's kind of partially because they kind of had a lot of wars with every single one of them.
Oh, wow.
Even little Paraguay? Oh, especially Paraguay. That little dude knows how to fight. Now, here's the thing. In the past, Bolivia actually had a lot more land than it did today. In fact, in the past, it had a province called Litoral, which is what the 10th star on the flag is referring to, which was the only area that Bolivia had access to the ocean. Long story short, Chile got that part, Brazil took these parts, and Paraguay got this part. So anyway, Bolivia is divided into 9 regions, and technically it has 2 capitals. La Paz, also known by its official name Nuestra Señora de la Paz, which means Our Lady of Peace, and Sucre, which means sugar. It's a little hard to explain, but essentially Sucre is the constitutional capital where the Supreme Court is located, but La Paz is where all the seats of government reside. The legislative, executive branches are both found in the city, and even the president resides in the Palacio Quemado Palace in La Paz. And since China took over Tibet, that made La Paz the world's highest capital at about 12,000 feet or 3,700 meters above sea level. The height is so extreme that typically visitors might find themselves
Nah, you would not like that.
And might
No, you said
it looked nice on the video. I ain't say I want to go.
Let me take you back to California. We was riding around that, and you was about ready to hop out the car.
Child, hop out the car and go to the heavens. Cause look,
That was a little too much. I think we was going up, and then we had to come back down on it.
We kept going up.
And
we
then
was
the
on
rocks
the
was
cliff,
just
on the highway,
crazy.
the mountains on both sides.
The fog was surrounding us.
You look down out of the window, you can actually see down.
Too much of that.
I'm good. Get somebody else to do it.
Altitude
Come on,
sickness,
man.
in which the Bolivians will be happy to provide you with coca leaves, not cocoa leaves, coca leaves, as a remedy. You can either make it into a tea or chew them up raw and dried. Water also boils at a different temperature at about 88 degrees Celsius, which makes things typically take a little bit longer to cook. Also, the air pressure is so light here that many plasma TVs don't even work.
I bet. bet.
And it has to do with some kind of sciencey reason about the phosphor pods being lit by electrodes. I don't know. It's time to learn some chemistry later! La Paz is a beautiful city with the frighteningly majestic snow-capped Mount Illimani overlooking everything in the southwest. It has a plethora of skyscrapers and monuments. Getting out of La Paz is the tricky part. This glorious urban gem is locked and tucked away in the Andes Mountains, so you really only have like two extreme options. If you head west, you have to pass through the driest desert in the world, the Atacama, which looks virtually indistinguishable from the moon.
So you got gas.
With no living plants in sight for miles.
Wow.
And heading east, you have to pass through the mountains, where you are so high you can literally see the clouds
That's
below
more
you as you drive into the
greenery.
tropical Amazon
Life.
basin.
Oh.
But before you do, you have to go on the Yungas Highway, otherwise known as the Calle del Muerte, or the Death Road. The road at its narrowest is only about 3 meters wide, or the width of an actual vehicle. And sits over the ledge.
You done been telling me slow down. Hey, that's
Y'all don't take road trips, huh?
narrow as heck, boy.
Cause child,
Golly.
what? Either the desert or the mountains. I say I'm going to the mountains, but
Look at that.
this what we was just describing, it was kind of like this.
I think we had a railing though.
No,
No,
some
really, was
places we didn't.
Some we
but it
didn't?
was so beautiful.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, don't look down.
No gas station in sight.
Up well over 600 meters, or 2,000 feet, with no guardrail. Nonetheless, this road is still technically a 2-lane highway that offers traffic to drivers going in each direction. Every few hundred meters, there are shoulder curbs that drivers can use to allow other cars to pass on the opposite side. Every year, it's estimated that about 200 to 300 people die on this road alone. However, it's funny because this one road has actually become a huge tourist destination of Bolivia. Yeah, the landscape in Bolivia is quite intense.
Yeah, don't take me there.
Let's talk about that in...
It's not a tourist site I want to go. Nah.
Okay, so Bolivia has some of the most contrasting landscapes you'll see in all of South America, let alone the world. First of all, about a third of the country is covered in the rocky, dry, snow-capped Andes Mountains to the west, and to the east. After traversing the mountains, you enter the hot, humid, wet pampas or rainforest zone. As the most sparsely populated country in all of South America, Bolivia's interior is widely untouched and uncultivated. In fact, you can even book your own 3-day eco tour that involves getting your own cabin, food, and doing activities like fishing for piranhas, feeding wild monkeys, interacting with crocodiles, and swimming with pink river dolphins, all for about $70. Yeah, the exchange rate is that good in Bolivia. Otherwise,
nice.
if you stay in the west side, you can still experience some amazing geological anomalies. In the south, in the Potosi province, you reach Salar de Uyuni, the world's largest salt flat. In the dry summer months, this creepishly serene area is a completely flat white salt bed that goes on and on for miles to the ends of the horizon. In the wet winter months, the rains pour down heavily, covering the entire area in a shallow, watery gloss that you can walk in, and respectively becomes the
now
world's
that's some nice
largest
pictures.
mirror.
Yes
Further
and
north,
no.
closer to La Paz,
Yes
you
and
reach
no.
Lake
I
Titicaca.
don't know.
Why?
Like, is there ever a moment where the ground gets like soft and the
Like
quicksand or something?
quicksand. That's what I'm thinking too. As I'm looking at it, I'm like,
yes and no. It look good, but
there's some nice pictures now.
but there's a lot of space too.
Right. I mean, I'm just looking at it for something to happen.
One wrong step,
Go into the earth.
right? To,
Highest lake in the world, which they share with Peru. It's kind of funny though, because even though Bolivia doesn't have a coastline, they still have a navy, which for the most part patrols over the lakes and the rivers. Agriculture makes up about a quarter of the GDP, even though about 2% of the country is cultivated for crops. Despite the fact that arable land is quite abundant, it's just not used. Cash crops are coffee, cotton, and coca, not cocoa, coca. A controversial little leaf that when used correctly can help heal sickness, and when used destructively can create a little drug known for causing the deaths of many. I'm talking about gin martinis. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm talking about cocaine. No, but seriously, gin martinis are like the worst thing ever. I don't understand why anybody would have... Sorry, this is about Bolivia again. No, but seriously, the coca leaf has been grown in the country for centuries and has actually gotten Bolivia in a lot of heat, even with some of their friends. Friends we'll discuss about in the friend zone, but first we have to talk about the...
Demographics.
Bolivia's people are pretty much unlike any other people in South America, and here's why. First of all, the country has a little over 10.5 million people, and along with Peru, is one of only 2 countries in South America in which Amerindians make up the majority, and is the only country in the Americas, let alone the world, in which Amerindians make up over half of the population. Otherwise, about 30% are mestizo, and about 15% are white. In terms of Amerindian subdivisions, there are 30 people groups. However, the largest ones are the Quichua, the Aymara, and the Guarani. Most of the Aymaras and Quichuas live in the west, in the Andes mountain range, whereas most of the Guaranis and other Amazon tribal peoples live mostly in the east and in the heavily forested Pampas, which in addition to Spanish make up the 4 official languages of Bolivia. At the end of the day, however, pretty much everybody speaks Spanish. However, Bolivian Spanish is a little different from the standard Mexican or Spain Spanish that most people are taught. In addition to an accent heavily influenced by indigenous languages, a whole different vocabulary exists. For example, instead of hearing hombre, you might hear varone. Instead of hearing basura, you might hear chorita.
I wonder if they still can exchange, conversations.
Right. No tengo dinero. Huh? Estoy yesca? Ah. Todavía me debes dinero, cabrón. That's how Bolivia kind of divides itself. Kind of like Belgium, you have 2 regionally distinct identifiable people groups. The Collas, or the people who live in the west by the Andes, and the Cambas, or the people that live in the east in the rainforest. I mean, technically there's a 3rd people group called the Chapacos who kind of have their own little thing going on, and the people of Tarija identify more with Argentina rather than any people group. But most people fall within the Colla and Camba categories. These 2 people groups are quite distinct in their cultures due to the fact that they live completely different lives in completely different atmospheres that they've adapted to. Culture-wise, Bolivia is quite noticeably particular from its neighbors. For one, they are much more heavily influenced by indigenous customs, rituals, and clothing, and even festivals. Interesting side note, you can typically bet on it that a woman is from Bolivia if you see her wearing one of those round, small bowler hats. Whereas Peruvian women like to wear the Western hats with the flatter brim. Granted, I'm not saying all Peruvian or Bolivian women look like that, I'm just saying it's a very prevalent look in many of the rural areas. Good move, Paul.
They was waiting on you.
But we're watching you. Another funny side note, if you visit La Paz and El Alto, make sure you buy a ticket to buy the Wrestling Cholita show, in which women wrestle both men and each other while wearing the traditional clothing. What a great way to make friends.
What?
Ding.
If I go in the ring, I'm...
What I know you better turn up, too, yeah.
I'm going to be the announcer. If I
nah, bro, like...
Baby, somebody going to flip me. Because we're going to be fighting in real life.
You going to tag me in? They say they do men, too. Nah, I wouldn't even want to be in there. I watch. You can be an announcer, I'll be in the... Yeah,
I got to gain some weight for that.
Let's get somebody else to do it.
Get somebody else to do it.
When it comes to diplomatic relations, Bolivia is kind of like, I don't like you, I think, but I'll still give you an embassy. First of all, with the exception of Peru, Bolivia's relations with all their immediate neighbors are all kind of strained a little bit. Paraguay, because of the Gran Chaco area dispute that led to war. Then you have Brazil and the Acre War. And Chile with the Pacific War. Even Argentina had a few scuffles with Bolivia.
Yeah,
nonetheless, all these countries still have relatively close ties, and they all have their own embassies and consulates in Bolivia. Then we get to Israel, and things get a little weird, because the president doesn't really favor Israel and has threatened to cut ties with them, but many of the Bolivian people are incredibly against this, as Israelis make up a huge demographic of the tourism sector. In many places in La Paz, you can even find street signs and posters printed in Hebrew, and many of the locals actually learn how to speak Hebrew to accommodate the visitors. Without the Israelis, they actually might lose a huge potential in revenue. Bolivia's best new friends might be Venezuela and Cuba. This is actually kind of new, considering that relations weren't really that strong before. The reason has something to kind of do with the fact that they all agree with the same anti-imperialist and socialist ideologies, which is kind of funny considering what happened to Che Guevara. In terms of their old best friend, Bolivia might probably consider Peru. They were even for a short period of time part of the same confederation and fought against Chile together. Peru, out of sympathy, has even allowed Bolivia to build a port on the ocean on their land that they can use. In conclusion, Bolivia likes to call itself the heart of South America, and considering all the amazing, astounding things that you'll encounter, it's not really hard to believe that saying. They just wish they had a coast. Stay tuned. Bosnia and Herzegovina is coming up.
Okay, man. Landlocked. Always a difficult situation when you're landlocked because you ain't near nobody of water. You know what I'm saying? So your exports is not going to come directly to you. You got to work with the other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I would love to know, like, how the people interact if they have strained relationships with everybody around them.
Got to be some little slight beef going on here and there.
Yeah. So this was an interesting video. Let us know all about your culture, your people, interesting facts, things you would like for us to share with the community that we have all over the world. So we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you would like to support the channel that way, as well as our join feature to become a VIP member of the channel. Send in your reaction request through our description box below, not the comment section. Description box.
Check it out. It's down there.
We'll see you soon.
Look for it.
Peace.